Oh, eight. Here we are with another edition of Talking Sports with the Legend. Tonight's guest, Re-al Mittchel, currently at Temple University and quarterback, correct?
Yes, sir. Quarterback.
Go ahead there, Legend.
What's up, buddy? Thank you for coming on.
I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
Where are you from?
I'm originally from Southern California, but kind of traveled across the whole country, playing at Iowa State, which is in the Midwest, and now on the East Coast in Philadelphia.
What made you transfer?
Yeah, so initially, like I said, out of high school, I went to Iowa State. Lovely place, lovely coaching staff. Really didn't want to leave, but probably wasn't gonna get the playing time I needed, along with a couple other variables. But it just wasn't gonna play as soon as I thought I could, and that's why I had to leave.
How cool was it being on a QB1?
Yeah. So that was it's been a minute since that was filmed, but it was super cool, especially being a senior in high school. I went to all male Catholic high school, so we got the cameras following us around all the time, so you can just imagine how funny that would be. But it was lots of fun filming.
No.
What year are you in school right now?
Academically, I'm a senior. I'll be graduating in the fall, but I also have 3 more years of eligibility upcoming.
That's awesome. That's what I was wondering. When you went to Iowa State, you were only there for 1 season?
I was there for 2 seasons.
2 seasons.
Yes, sir.
Oh, but you get an extra thing because of the COVID. You get
an extra year of eligibility. Correct.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It definitely is awesome. Yeah.
Did you get to play this year with Temple?
Yes, sir. I did get to play. Played in, I think, 3 games. Started the last one I played in. Unfortunately, got hurt in that very last one that I guess knocked me out for the rest of the season, although we only played 1 more game after that. But since then, I'm fully recovered and looking forward to this upcoming season.
What's his major? What's his major?
Position?
No, what's his major? What's his major?
What is your major?
Right. So I'm my undergrad, I'll be getting my degree in psychology. I have aspirations of being a sports psychologist after football. And so, yeah, I'm undergrads in psychology.
That's an awesome idea for yourself, being especially you went through the TV thing, and
yeah.
that's an interesting thing for a high school kid to go through, and then you went to a Division I, Big 10, Iowa State.
Big 12.
Big 12, sorry. And now you're on a Temple squad that has been doing pretty well over the years. I'm going to be 58 years old this year, and I've lived in Philadelphia all my life. And I went to, quite a few of Temple games with Steven through Special Olympics, gave his tickets every year to 1 or more games. And then he belongs to another organization now where Temple has a fun day for the kids. But because of COVID, they had to shut it down, and next season they'll have it. It's really cool. It was at the gym that you guys now have. That's the all-encompassing gym where all the teams, practice and do stuff. The indoor one, and it was really cool. They had the football players come out, and the Steven ran the ball through the gauntlet, and they all kept hitting, hit it with the pads and stuff.
What time I was actually on the field?
Yes, we went to see Temple play University of South Florida. Yeah, you what is it? University of Southern Florida?
Yeah, University of Southern Florida.
And that was really cool. They let us on the field and they let us be in the tunnel. So when the kids came out, they were giving Steven high fives. And I was on Snapchat.
On ESPN, right?
No, Snapchat. Oh yeah, ESPN. ESPN Snapchat. It was they picked up people's Snapchats from the field, and it was all over the country. And one of my other son's friends, he was like, Steven made it national, and then he sent everybody a copy of it. It was so cool. Yeah, the players were great. The fun day was really cool. They had football players, basketball players, soccer players, men's and women's, men's golf team. It was really neat. I mean, Temple's great for the community. I work at a store on South Broad Street, so I'm on the other end of Broad Street, but I get a lot of Temple alumni plus a lot of Temple students come into me, and I always tell them, I said, look, it's a great school, but you got to stay on campus. If you go off campus, you got to go in pairs. I don't care if you're with a football player that's a big guy, because these guys carry guns around that neighborhood. It's not about how big and tough you are. It's about craziness, and you guys got to be careful. And, God forbid the girls, I tell them all, I said, make sure you never go out with a guy by yourself. Always take your friends. But, it's a great, great school. I mean, I have a lot of people I know went there, and, and the program's doing so well now. So well. I'm so happy for you, because we get a chance to watch a lot of the games on TV. But, of course, we're going to try to get to a couple of games this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love for you guys to come out and like you said.
Absolutely, man. We're looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's super cool just because the Eagles also play there. So just being able to be at the link is just a great experience.
Ask him how many people recruited him when he was a senior.
How many teams recruited you when you were a senior?
So coming out of high school, I had 20 Division I scholarships, offers and or like opportunities, which is super cool, super fortunate, and very blessed to have that many opportunities to play, at that level of football, all over the country.
Where did you go in your 3 visits you're allowed to have?
Yeah, so coming out of high school, you get to have 5 like official visits that you can take. I only took 1 official visit to Iowa State. It was I think Iowa State was the 10th school to offer me or so, and I just kind of fell in love with the coaching staff and the college, the college itself and the community there. So I kind of didn't really want to take any other visits after my Iowa State one. So only took 1 and, really enjoyed it.
Did you change? As you said, I couldn't hear some of the stuff you were saying because Steven's got his headphones on. He's got hearing problems. Did you say you left because of a coaching staff switch, or was that what it was?
More so just playing opportunity and playing time. The guy that's a starter there now, we were in the same class. So, it's kind of hard to pretty much just, wait your whole career to hopefully have an opportunity your senior year. So, I was looking elsewhere to make an
I hear you, man. That's a big thing. And I tell people all the time, if you're going because you want to, be a student athlete, but you want to be the athlete that plays on the team, I get it, man. I played at a small school in Philadelphia and soccer, and it's like people don't understand. It's a lot of dedication, but you want to play in the games. And as a quarterback, you only got 1 of them on each team. It ain't like you get, hey, I could be the 3rd wide receiver, and when we go to 3 wide receiver set, I'm sorry, but quarterback, man, it's tough. And I think you made a great switch to Temple because they got a great schedule. And I mean, like you said, how many games did you play this year?
This past season I played in.
Not you, but I mean the school. How many was on the schedule?
Right. Okay. We played 10. We played all but our last 2 games. So we only played 8 games.
8 games.
Because of COVID, the last ones got canceled.
All right. And normally it's like at least 10, 11 game season, right? And then if you make it, you go to a bowl game.
Right. So regular season's normally 12 games. You have like 4 out of conference games.
Right.
When you schedule. Yeah.
So you missed like 4 games. That's what I said. I said to Steven, I watched a lot of your games this year. And that's what he said about quarterback, and I was like, "Is he the starting quarterback? Because I seen you play a couple of the games."
Right. Yeah.
And Steven said, "Yeah, I think so." And I said, "Oh, I can't wait to talk to him." I
Mhm.
met Matt Rule came down to my office to register his little. He used to get around campus on a little scooter, and
Oh,
I do
wow.
that for people. I register vehicles for them when they come into the town. So
Oh,
he
that's awesome.
got a scooter off of somebody that I'm friendly with. He was a big Temple booster, and he introduced me to Matt, and Matt came right down to the office just like a normal guy. What a nice guy he was, or
Oh,
is, I
that's
should
awesome.
say. So
That's awesome.
I don't think he's coaching there anymore.
now coach coaching the Carolina Panthers. Yeah.
Big
He
time.
left
What's his
Temple.
name?
He left Temple and went to
Baylor.
Baylor, right? Baylor, right? Yeah.
We interviewed the guy Colin for the Panthers.
Yes.
Yes.
Colin Thompson is
Yeah.
a tight end for the Carolina Panthers.
Mhm.
He went to
Temp-
Florida and then transferred and went to Temple.
Yeah.
And Matt Rule was the coach.
Yes.
So then he finished his season, his college career, the kid,
Mhm.
and then he was signed as a free agent by, I think he said Detroit or something.
Yeah,
He was a free agent, and he
we
kept
with a couple different
jumping
teams.
around on the practice squads. And then when Matt Rule got the job at the Panthers, he called the kid up and said, "Hey, we're looking for a tight end. You want to sign with us?" He was like, right away. He went right down there, and I said, "Steven, I said, that's the thing. Temple now has that kind of reputation where you got a lot of guys in the league now that are playing,
Right.
and it's not just, hey, he went to Temple. These guys are stars in the NFL."
Right. Yeah. It's super awesome.
What is he? The defensive lineman / linebacker from the Cardinals, Riddick.
Right. Where is he at? I think he's at the Panthers now.
He's unbelievable, man.
Yeah.
He tore it up, man. And some of these guys got opportunities because of Matt Rule and the previous coach and now the current coach.
Mhm.
It's amazing, like you said, you were stuck behind somebody else that they thought was better than you, but
Right.
this school, they want to give you an opportunity, and that's a great thing. They have that new thing, which a friend of mine's son took advantage of it. That portal where you put your name in the portal, and you don't have to lose no eligibility switching from one Division I to another Division I. And I always complained about that when I was a kid. There was a lot of guys that would big time basketball guys from Philly. So people would be like, they wanted them to stay home, close to home. So some of the guys did, but some of the other guys would leave and then they want to come back. And then you'd have to miss a year of eligibility.
Right.
So if they had any ventures any ideas of going to pro, well, then they sometimes wouldn't come back to Temple or anything. They would just go pro instead of trying to, transfer and waste a season of your life.
No, yeah. I'm happy that the NCAA has now changed that rule. So, college guys and girls can transfer, play immediately. Definitely.
That's really awesome. It's a great thing the NCAA finally accepted, and hopefully, one of these days you guys will get some stipend money wise. People make me laugh. They go, "We're getting a free education." I said, "So is the kid who's a brilliant student, but he's allowed to work. He's allowed to get a job at IBM while he's getting free scholarship and free room and board."
Mhm.
Right?
Point,
I knew kids that went to Drexel and they have a co-op program there. And he wound up working for IBM when he graduated, but he was working at IBM the whole time he was at Drexel. And you work 40 hours when they're in between their trimesters when they're working instead of going to school. So he was, we were 19, 20 years old. He was making like 20 grand. And I didn't make 20 grand out of college, but he was on a career path to me.
Yeah.
But psychology, that's a great idea for you because of the extra years of eligibility. You can get your master's, and then while you're in the NFL, you get your doctorate, man, and you can become a teacher when you're done, or you can do whatever. And like you said, sports psychology is a big thing now. Those guys were really, really busy last year.
Yeah, I bet they were.
Well, I mean, can you imagine with, if you were in high school last year with the pandemic, you didn't get a chance to show yourself your senior year?
Yeah, that's really tough on the kids, on the families, their futures moving forward. Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
Such a shame. I'm so glad that these kids this year got a chance to, He went through most of these. Oh, no, you can ask him this one here.
Did you always play the same position and wear the same number?
So I have always played quarterback growing up. I was number 11 from day one all up until my freshman year in college at Iowa State, where I changed my number to 6. Someone was currently wearing a number 11 and didn't want to give it up, so I had to change my number. And then once I came here to Temple, really wanted 11 back. Unfortunately, couldn't get it, and I went from number 17 to 13. I'm currently 13 right now, but I'll be 11 for the season. So I've found my way back home.
All right. One of my buddies, that was his favorite number 13. He always had 13 because a lot of people think it's bad luck, but it was good for him. He was a great player.
Awesome.
So always a quarterback then, huh?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Even as a little youngin', huh?
I mean, I guess I played on the defensive side of the ball growing up a little bit, but once I got to high school, it was strictly quarterback.
Yeah, that weight ball, they want you to run. They don't want you to throw the ball.
Yep.
Oh, I got a good question.
Hey, ask him.
What age did you start playing tackle football?
Great question.
Yeah, great question. So in the state of California, you have to be 7 years old, or there's some date where your birthday is like the cutoff date when you can play tackle football. I remember that my birthday's in August, so it's relatively a late birthday. I think the cutoff's like earlier in the summer. And so I was 6 when I first went out to try to play tackle football. And I think the third day out there, they had discovered, I was a little too young by a couple weeks before I turned 7 to be, eligible. So they had to like take me off the field and everything. And I was devastated, which I remember, but next year I was able to play.
How tall are you now?
Currently I'm 6 foot.
6 foot?
Yes, sir.
So I was thinking if you were like a big 6-year-old, they wouldn't have cared probably. But if you were a little guy, they're like, hey, who's that little guy out there? Let's see his birth certificate.
Right. No, yeah.
That's funny. Around here, they have the weight ball, and it's like, goes by like 50 pounds, 60 pounds or whatever. Right. And now a lot of these organizations are just basically saying they're going to have rough flag football until the kids are like 12, and then they're going to start playing tackle at 12, and then they still don't let them do, the hitting and all that other stuff. And, it's something to worry about when the kids are that young, but at your size, 6 foot, and you're playing Division I, you're going to get hit. But with the helmets that they have now, it's getting better and better every year. I just think they got to do more of the protocol where, you take the guys out, even if it's a pro. A lot of guys, they'll go back on the field when they shouldn't. And that's the thing, that if it's a foot injury, it's just as bad. And that's what I tell people. It's not just a head injury. Some kid twists his ankle and he's like, I'm okay, I want to get back in there. Well, you could be ruining your career for one game as in your freshman year. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think some of these coaches got to like take better medical care of the student athletes and remember that they are students, they're trying to get a degree, because half of the, what is it? 2% or 1% of you's got a chance to play pro.
Yeah. Very, very slim.
Yes. So that's a great career that you're going on. Cause like I tell everybody, all my customers, I always ask them what their major is and what their degree was in. And they always say, I get a lot of psychology nowadays. I say, you picked a good career. You're always going to be busy in the psychology world.
Yep.
Who's your favorite athlete?
My favorite athlete? I mean, there's a lot of prestigious athletes out there, whether it's, looking at the NBA with, LeBron James with his, size and athleticism, and Russell Westbrook. And then you look at football, right? You have Alvin Kamara, running back at the Saints, Lamar Jackson, his speed, playing quarterback. There's baseball world, Bryce Harper. So, I mean, that's a really good question, really hard question. But man, favorite athlete. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it back to I'm gonna give it to my mom. I'm gonna give that award to my mother, who ran track at the University of Nebraska, and ran in the trials of the 1984 Olympics.
Oh, that's great, man. That's awesome.
Mhm.
That's a great answer to that question. See that? You did it very well. If I was your father, I'd be extremely proud of you. You snuck that one in on us. It's
Yes,
funny
sir.
because, Steven's got a real good friend and his last name's Mitchell. And, he went to Temple for a while. He jumped all over schools, and he just
He was the quarterback. He played football.
he played football too. He was high school. He was the quarterback, punter, kicker,
Awesome.
safety, right? Yep, those were his 4 positions. And real nice guy. And it's so funny because your name's so common, and you got so many guys, like currently in the NBA, you got like 2 or 3 Mitchells.
Yep, it's a good
so
point.
funny when you were naming the athletes, and I always got to remember how old you guys are. You're only like what, 21?
I turned 21 in August. I'm really
right.
Yeah.
So to me, the guys you're naming, I'm like, Bryce Harper, he's only like 20. Then I'm like, oh God, yeah, I guess he was a teenager when.
Right.
So what area of Southern California did you live in? What was the town?
The city is called Eastvale. It was originally a town, turned city in 2011. But I went to high school an hour away in Los Angeles, so I had to commute. Really, my mom had to commute. I didn't have to do too much. But, my mom had to commute, so she put in a lot of effort, just being a parent, and getting me to where I am today.
Well, that's awesome, man. But I played in a soccer tournament out in California, way before you were born, 1979, and we stayed in Torrance, California.
Okay, yeah. So that's about 35, 40 minutes away from me.
Okay, so you went back and forth to school. You said it was a boys' Catholic school, or I know besides QB1, there was a lot of games on TV. Did you guys get time on TV? Your school? What's the name of your school? High school?
Right. So I went to St. John Bosco High School.
Okay.
And yeah, we got a lot of TV time and played really all across the country. I think in my time there, we had games in Hawaii, Utah, New Jersey, Ohio, Arizona, and really all over the place.
Did you ever play St. Joe's Prep from Philadelphia?
We played. Was it St. Joe's Prep?
Yeah, they're like nationally ranked every year. The kid that's quarterback this year, senior, he's going to Ohio State. And his wide receiver is Marvin Harrison's son, and he's going to Ohio State with him. And then Jeremiah Trotter, a former Eagle, his son's a linebacker, and he's going to Clemson.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, all 3 of these kids were seniors this year at St. Joe's Prep. They're nationally ranked every year. I asked you that question because I watch a lot of them high school games, and a few years ago, who was it? Gretzky's kid, Will Smith, was in the league. Will Smith's son was playing, right?
Right.
Did you play against those guys?
Not that I don't believe so.
Yeah, you would remember because they was like Joe Montana. I think it was Joe Montana or Wayne Gretzky. One of them, famous guys that are living in LA, and their kids were with school, and they were on one of them teams. It wasn't John Bosco though. It was, and I remember, can't think of the name of somebody else. Because I watch them games all the time, and they got some teams from Texas. You guys in Southern California always got a representative, and I remembered your name, John Bosco, because there's a lot of them around in the East Coast, and New York. I think there's a John Bosco up in New York, and I think there's also one in New Jersey.
Right, Don Bosco Prep, which is our brother's school.
Yes.
They had hosted us when we came and played. We played.
That was in New Jersey or New York?
That was in New Jersey.
New Jersey, right? Yeah, they're pretty good too. I heard they got a pretty good squad. That's funny, that's why you said a boys' Catholic high school, and that's what I went to in Philadelphia. Stephen went to a Catholic high school in Philadelphia as part of a special program, and It was the school, Cardinal Doherty, where Kyle Lowry played basketball.
Really?
Yes, and Stephen was fortunate enough to be there when Kyle was
I was a
I think
freshman and he was a senior.
yeah, Stephen went there from 15 to 21. So Kyle was like 18 when
He
Stephen
was a
was
senior,
15.
yeah.
So he was a senior when Stephen was the first time he was there. So we would go to all the games and stuff. Their
Oh,
football
yeah.
team wasn't so good, but their basketball team was, top class.
Probably.
The
That's
year
probably
he
the best.
graduated, all 5 of the kids went to 5 starters went to a Division I scholarship.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's what's great about those prep schools for football players. They give you guys a great education. You're very articulate, and you can tell you went to a school that educated you, not just had you play quarterback and teach you how to play football, but they taught you how to present yourself and speak properly. And it's a big difference in the working world. Some people
Yes,
don't
sir.
like it when you make, because I get made fun of all the time about the way I talk. And I said, hey, man, I grew up in Philly and I still work in Philly, and I'll never lose this Philly accent or my attitude, I guess you could say, too.
Yes, sir.
But
I love that.
I always tell people, I treat people with respect, and I ask all the questions that Steven asks. He gets where he gets them from. Me and him, when we're out meeting people, we always ask these questions, and we figured we make it a podcast.
No, yeah, that's awesome and great idea. Honestly, really good idea.
Did you ask him about that one? Did you ever meet?
This one.
What's that?
Did you ever meet any professional athletes in person?
Good one.
Let's think about this. Oh, yeah. I met a lot of professional athletes through the Elite 11 process, which is that quarterback competition 2B seniors go through. A lot of like professionals come out and kind of counsel the players and stuff like that. So I met a lot of people through that. I think growing up,
were you on ESPN?
Yes, sir.
Where you were? Oh, we gotta YouTube that, Steve. I'm sure we can YouTube. What year was that you were on?
I was Elite 11 class of 2017. The same year Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. So it's their season. If you, like you said, go on YouTube and
who are those guys? I don't know those guys. I only know right, that's so funny. That's awesome. So you hear that? 2017. We got to YouTube that. It's called the QB Challenge, and they have it for high school, they have it for college, and then the pros do it. And doing that Pro Bowl, they used to do it the Pro Bowl weekend.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they throw at targets and all that. And we'll be able to see Re-al out there.
Was that the first season of QB1?
So that was actually right before QB1 got filmed. It kind of helped get that going, just with that notoriety of being a part of that, prestigious quarterback competition.
That's awesome.
So you were in the first season, right?
Of QB1?
Yeah.
I was actually in the second season of QB1.
Wow.
The first season featured Tate Martell, Jake Fromm, and Tavon Bowers. Tate, I think he might still be at Miami, but he was in the Elite 11. And then Jake Fromm was also in the Elite 11 that, went to Georgia, now is at the Bills.
Right. How did he graduate?
Did who graduate?
From
Georgia?
Yeah.
I think so. He was there for 4 years. So
but I'm saying, is he got an NFL or no?
No, yeah, he plays for the Buffalo Bills right now.
Okay, he did. Okay.
He was in last year's draft.
Yeah, I didn't mean about graduate. I mean, did he go pro?
Right. Yeah. Just did.
Yeah. See, that's what's funny. Your guys, you got that little advantage over anybody else because of the COVID. It's like, you guys got now, all of you can graduate and then still play football while you're doing your post grad. And that's something that, a lot of people never had a chance to experience. There's some of them are doing it now. Some of them did it like if they got hurt, red shirt freshman year, then they would graduate and then they would go to another school. They did it. A couple guys did it last year for basketball.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
Ask him that one about the All-State.
Did you ever make an All-State team?
At high school.
Right.
You had to make it. Come on, you were on QB1. Didn't someone else made it over you?
I'm trying to remember. all-state team. I mean, I
You
definitely
had to
had,
be all state. You had to be. Come on.
I definitely had some awards coming out of high school. All-state. I mean, I'm not too sure.
Well, did you in California? It's the same thing like Pennsylvania, where you have 5 classes, like Class A, Class B, or 1, 2, 3, 4,
Right.
5, whatever.
Right. So California actually, I think, is one of the states that has the most like divisions and classes that you're talking about. So yeah, I think I was like on like first team on one of one of those
Right,
my
whatever
teams.
class you were in, right?
Right,
How many
right.
classes do they have in California?
I was actually talking to Coach Infante, our running back coach, who was, I guess, the coach at the school you had just mentioned,
St. Joe's Prep.
St. Joe's Prep. He was the coach there for 20 years, something like that.
Yes,
Very
yes,
long time.
yes, yes, exactly.
Yeah. I was actually just talking to him because he's our running back coach at Temple now.
Right. Yeah, someone did tell me that. Yeah.
Yup. And he was saying that it was like 20 plus different divisions in California.
Wow.
Now, I was fortunate enough to play at the highest level of those divisions and win, state at that highest level. So that was super cool experience.
Yeah, because that's the thing a lot of people don't understand. In Pennsylvania, they have it. It's PIAA, Pennsylvania. I forget what the initials are, but it's basically they didn't have it when I was a kid. They had it, but the Catholic schools were not involved. And then they had a lawsuit where a woman's public school team sued the public schools sued the Catholic schools. Well, they went to court and they won, but the Catholic school said, "Okay, we quit. We're never going to play another city championship again." So that was fortunate for me. I won the last city championship in soccer, and then they ended it. And they didn't get back into it until 2009. 2009. I remember when they put it in the paper because I couldn't believe I was on the team. They said my school won the first city championship in 29 years, and I was like, that's impossible. Then I did the math, and I was like, damn, I was 16.
I remember because it was Halloween. We went to Phillies parade.
Yes.
And we went to that game.
Yes, and that was 2008. That's what I said. 2000. I always like when he tells me I'm right. If you have children, if you have a son, I hope you don't name him the same name because he'll be just like this guy.
2008.
2008.
And you said it was 2009.
Right. So it was that graduating year.
Yes. It was in the fall.
It was in the fall. Yes. But like my city championship jacket has the year right. The year right. So that's how it works. But anyway, it was so funny. And then when they got back into it, the Catholic schools, because of how they are, the school Stephen went to, because it was boys and girls, they didn't care about the girls. They just counted about the boys, like how many boys were enrolled. And it went by strictly enrollment. So St. Joe's Prep has such a strong enrollment because it's such a great school that they get kids from all over the tri-state area. Kids from Jersey travel across the bridge. Like you said, your mom drove you an hour within the state. Well, Jersey's right over the bridge if you live in like Camden. And if you're like a real good football player and you want to be part of a great program and a great, learning institution, you go to St. Joe's. Now it costs money, but if your parents got it, they give some assistance, I think, with the by your parents, how much money your parents make. So, it's there for kids that want to, put the effort out, but they tell you right away. And that coach will tell you, they tell their kids right away, man, this is not a football school. This is a school that has a good football program. And, a lot of the coaches are former players of themselves of that school. So it's a big thing. And I think it's a great, way to, further your education by going to those schools.
Definitely.
Oh, how about this one here? You asked him about that one. You asked about the All-State. What's his upcoming goal?
Good.
Yeah.
What
is your upcoming?
What are your goals for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I don't have too many, personal goals, more team-oriented goals, and especially coming off of last season, we want to take strides, to play in a conference championship, and we have all the pieces to do it. It's just a matter of, establishing, winning culture and, working relentlessly to pursue that goal. So that goal is definitely to win a championship.
Awesome, man. That's I said, I mean, 12-0 is your goal. One game at a time. I try to tell Steven, one game at a time.
Yes, sir.
How are you preparing for this upcoming season?
Right now we're in spring ball, halfway through that. And so it's an important step that we actually didn't get last year due to COVID, which kind of hindered us, when it was time in the fall to play. So right now, man, just being fortunate to have a spring to, evaluate the talent that's on the team and, make strides as far as, chemistry on offense and defense that will hopefully, translate in the fall.
How many days a week do you guys practice?
Practice, I believe it's four times a week. One of the days is also like a meeting and like lifting day.
That's interesting. That's one of the questions, it's funny. We ask a lot of the coaches, these questions about like what they do like on a daily basis. But a lot of times people forget about you guys, the players. And it's so funny because some of the people Steven's interviewed, their schools are, one of them's called the University of Sciences, and it's in Philadelphia, and it's very, mostly doctors, kids that go to become doctors go there. So I was talking to their coach and I was like, how do you guys, because they're a really good team. And I said, Steven said, how do you guys stay so successful a program? And I said, and that's the same thing I said, I was amazed because of the fact that, these kids are all students first and then athletes second. And she said, it's a great diversion for them because, they're always studying, and to get that 3 hours in practice with your friends and, to be able to socialize, she said, it's a real good release for these guys. And it's funny because, and it's me, I should kick myself in the butt for it, but you don't think about it with the other sports, with the other student athletes, because, you went for psychology, you're going for psychology. I went for management. Most of the athletes take different type of courses, but you occasionally get that kid that wants to be a doctor. And it's like, I give those kids all the credit in the world, man. When you're going to, go to become a doctor or a lawyer, you got to be prepared to do 9 years of school.
Yeah, it's definitely a commitment that, not everybody has in them, and I certainly do not.
Yeah, that's what I say. And it's a devotion. It's your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
How about this one, Steve? How would your teammates describe you?
How would your teammates describe you off
The field?
Off the field.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I kind of want to know too. But I would say they'd probably, I don't know. I guess I'm relatively funny. A lot of people, when they get to know me, kind of realize that. And I'm really like compassionate. I feel like I'm pretty nice guy on the field too. I am like that. I'm always trying to have a good time. At the end of the day, it is a sport that, we take very seriously, but we also are just, regular guys. So it's always nice to crack a couple of jokes in the heat of fire, just to, put everything in perspective. So yeah, probably just, nice, funny guy.
What are your strengths and weaknesses?
What are your strengths and weaknesses
On the field.
on the field?
Yeah, I think as a true competitor, it's important that you identify what you're good at so you can continue to do it, and then what you're not so good at so you can strive to be better in that department. I think last year, personally, too many incomplete passes on my part. So this off season and how I'm training, how I'm going about that is trying to become as accurate as possible, so that that number of incompletions can dwindle.
Got a question for you about that. And this is funny because I think a lot of people don't think of this, but when you're practicing, the defense might not know what you are doing, but it's a little different than when you're in the game. So when you're in the game, do you practice situations where like the guy will blitz you without telling you, or the coaches are like, you can blitz him, but don't hit him? do they like try to surprise you to make it more like a game situation? Because I think a lot of times the reason you guys don't complete all your passes because of the pressure you're under. And
Mhm.
people are like, why don't they just throw the ball? And then it's like, well, then they'll throw an interception. Well, then why don't he run? Well, because then he could get tackled and fumble the ball. So
Mhm.
I feel for you. I mean, it's the hardest position in my eyes, other than maybe a goaltender in hockey. But
Mhm.
quarterback, do you guys do that kind of stuff in practice?
Yeah, I think it really that answer kind of varies at what program you're at and what the coach, philosophy is and how he, structures practice. And if, quarterbacks are alive or if he, wants to tell his quarterback, hey, this practice, like look for this, we're trying to send these things at you. Or there's some, coaches that, hold the cards in their hand and, like to see their players react, which is more like, a game setting, which is kind of what, Temple's like. And I feel like probably most coaches are kind of like that. See it for what it is at first. And then, if you mess up or whatever, we can go back to the film and correct it.
Yeah, sure, because it's easy hitting them targets when you're taking your time hitting the targets. But when you got some 300-pound 6'10" guy chasing after you, and
Yeah,
nowadays these guys are as fast as you are.
right.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah, it definitely makes it a little harder.
Besides your busyness of playing football,
Do
Steve,
you have any hobbies?
Um, actually, I mean, I like playing video games. Me and my best friend who goes to Western Kentucky, we find time, throughout the week to play games together. And then I also like practicing baseball. I kind of plan on playing that, once my football career is over, just, at a low level, like nothing too crazy. Maybe I work my way up though, we'll see. But I kind of like, batting, and it's kind of, a stress reliever because football, is very stressful. So being able to just go batting, and, throwing the ball around is also fun.
that's cool. Steven and me like doing
Mhm.
that once in a while. Go to the old batting cage, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
How
awesome.
about this one, Steve?
What motivates you?
That's a good question. I think as a shorter quarterback, I think I take it upon myself to kind of be that role model for guys growing up, and you don't always have to be the tallest guy to play the position, but hopefully people can see me and be inspired by me, because I'm doing everything in my power to make it to the next level, and prove all my doubters wrong. So I think what motivates me is just trying to be the best version of myself for others.
Now you said your mom went to Nebraska, and I obviously had a track scholarship. I'm going to guess, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So where did she grow up? Where was your mom born and raised?
Yeah, so my mom was born and raised in Southern California.
Nice.
Actually, went to high school in LA, and then yeah, out of high school, was fortunate enough to go to the University of Nebraska, and then after that, she's actually, I guess, most well known for the that early '90s TV show, The American Gladiators. She was Blaze on that show.
Get out of here. I love Blaze. That's
Yeah,
awesome. I used to watch
yeah,
that. You know if you remember that show.
Mm,
It was guys like me and him would go on the show,
mhm,
and we would compete against each other, but we had to go through a gauntlet of
mhm.
these people, and then the women went against his
Wow.
mom, and oh my god, that
yeah,
is awesome. That is awesome.
yeah.
Because I was going to ask you, what was your mom's major in Nebraska? What did she do?
Right. She was man, she was actually a psychology major. I think she double majored psychology and kinesiology. So she's really, really smart. And she's actually going back for her master's in coaching right now. And there's actually I believe a 30 for 30 being filmed on, like, what are the gladiators up to type of thing. That'll be coming out, I think, next year. It's being filmed right now.
That
So
is awesome. That's
she's doing
great, man. Because that's one of the things that, like, when you said about what Stephen asked you about what motivates you, and I think a lot of times people can be motivated by their parents without their parents,
right.
knowing, and other times the parent could kind of see it, and it's like you looked up to her. I mean, if you
Oh
didn't, you're crazy, because I thought she was awesome. I mean,
yeah. No,
people.
yeah. She
It's
was
so
tough.
funny because people when they're intimidated by a woman of her strength and and it's so funny to me because I think women are the strongest people in the world. And it always makes me angry when you think back of the olden days where it's like all men are created equal, but not women, man. It's like,
Right.
didn't George Washington have a mom and a wife, and daughters and
Yeah.
stuff? And it's just like how disrespected they were. And that your mom was so she was around my age then. She went what year did she graduate high school?
Ooh, that's a tough.
I don't want you to tell her about your mom's age, but you said
Right,
you
right.
tried
That's
out for the Olympic trials in '84. Was she at Nebraska in '84?
Well, you had said you're 58, correct?
Yeah, I'll be 58 in September.
So I'm trying to not give her age away, but she's around the same age. Very,
Yeah,
very
that's
close.
awesome because we had a great football player from Camden go to Nebraska, Mike Rozier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he was there around the time your mom was, I believe. He was around
Probably,
the same
yeah.
age as me, or a little bit. Maybe he was a little bit older.
No, yeah,
But
it's probably,
yeah, I always used to follow Nebraska football because they were always on TV. And then when he went there, I started watching him a little bit more because he was a local guy. I never met him, but a local guy, and he was a great player.
No, yeah, that's awesome.
That's
Small
awesome
world,
because that
small
would
world.
motivate me. If my mom was on that show, I'd be like going around telling everybody, "That's right, that was my mom. Go to my house. She'll whoop you just like she whoops them people on TV."
Right, right.
That's awesome. Well, tell your mom I was a big fan. I can't wait for the 30 for 30.
We'll do it.
I'm
We'll
gonna
do.
get Steven to watch that on YouTube too.
Oh
I
yeah,
got him a
that'd be
smart
awesome.
TV a while ago, and he's got his own YouTube channel, so he watches all his own videos on his big screen TV now.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll let you know when it comes out.
That's great.
What's your favorite thing to do in your free time?
Favorite thing to do in my free time.
I told you he plays video games with his buddy, and it's in Kentucky.
Oh, wait, I got a better one.
What?
What's your favorite cheesesteak spot?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Big spot. I haven't
Been
really.
here, you've been here a year now, right?
Yeah, coming up on a year. Coming up
You
on a
gotta
year.
have a cheesesteak.
Yeah. I mean, this place is probably like really like considerably low key. It's actually just right across the street from our football facility. Called Campus. It's called Campus Pizza, but they also have cheesesteaks there.
All right.
I really enjoy those. When my girlfriend was out here in the summer, we went to I believe it's called
Pat's or Geno's.
Yeah, we went to
Yeah,
Pat's.
they're right next to each other. Yeah,
Right.
I work around the corner from there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, super cool.
Yeah, I've gone to pretty much every place in South Philly area and for the cheesesteaks because I like to sample them all, but there's some really good ones. Donovan McNabb had it. He used to go to a place right down on Broad Street right before you get to Packer. I forget the name of it now, but they changed names. But he used to go down, and a lot of them they have the pictures hanging up in the shops and all.
Oh, yeah,
And it's so
that's
funny, I always crack up because I go, those guys probably got free cheesesteaks and they're making more money than the guy who owns the cheesesteak place. But it's
awesome.
good for business to tell everybody that the quarterback goes there or whatever.
Definitely good for business.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, sometimes the best cheesesteaks are at the little local stop. And even if it's, campus, it's right there at Temple. They got to make good food because if they don't, those kids ain't going back, man. They're going to go somewhere else to get their cheesesteak.
Yep.
That's a great question, Steve. Especially for a guy from Southern California.
Yep.
What are you like?
He already asked about what he said about being funny. Do you have any tips for the young kids?
Do you have any tips for younger athletes that want to play at the higher level?
Any tips? I mean, just have a goal and don't let anyone deter you from that goal. It's nothing that's worthwhile ever comes easy. It takes a lot of hard work and dedication. So don't expect overnight results for big dreams. Continue just to work and strive, just like I am, type of thing, to be the best version of yourself, and always put people first, because at the end of the day, like, relationships are really the most important thing. Football is great, but you'll retire one day. You can't always run the ball as fast as you once did or throw it as far as you once did. But, you know, relationships tend to last forever. So, you know, advice, like I said, you know, be determined, but also value the relationships you have now and in the future.
That's a great answer, because I always tell people that same thing. And even if you're the greatest football player in the world, the most those guys play is maybe 10, 12 years. You got the freaks like Brady, 40, 20 years, but very, very rare. The average guy plays like maybe 1 year or 2 years in the league, because you think of all those guys who didn't make it, they got drafted, and whether it's second round, third round, ain't no guarantee in football. That's why I try to tell these guys, other sports there's some guaranteed money, but football, you got to do it. So you better get an education.
Right, exactly.
And the last question, if you could have dinner with 3 athletes, it could be dead or alive, who would they be and why?
That is a very good question. Wish I would have prepped that one, but let's think about this. Dead or alive, 3 athletes. Just off the top of my head, Kyler Murray, who's kind of my, I guess, I look up to him as a smaller quarterback in the NFL that's doing big things. Hopefully I can play against him one day. But Kyler Murray, let's go with Michael Phelps. The Olympian swimmer who's just, lit the world on fire. I guess it was about 10 years ago now. But just, tapping into his brain, and, he's an Olympian, you don't really come across too many of those. And then just to see, how he got to where he was, and how he achieved the level of success he had achieved. And then the third athlete, perhaps like Serena Williams, get a female's perspective on winning and what she does, and I think that'd just be amazing, because she's won for the longest time, still playing at a very, very high level. So yeah, probably those.
All right. Well, we'll see if we make that happen, right, Steve? Steven got a lot of viewers out there, and if those guys hear it, they're all alive. It's a good idea to pick up people that are alive. It's right. You never know who you're gonna get, man.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
I asked Steven right away when he told me about you. I said, "Well, how did you become friends with him?" He said, "Just from Twitter." And I said, "That's awesome."
Yeah, my buddy Nathan interviewed him.
Yeah, his buddy. Yeah. We interviewed a guy last night, and at the end of the interview, the guy told us, one of the things he was so, looking forward to do the interview is he has a Down syndrome son that's 9 years old. And I said, a lot of these guys that, we run into, the one guy from the Eagles, we interviewed him, Alex Singleton, the linebacker.
Right, yeah.
His sister with Down syndrome, and they do a video every Monday night on Instagram and all them, Facebook and all that stuff. And it was great, interviewing him, because I was asking him about questions about Special Olympics, about how it's like to have a brother,
especially in California.
Right, and he's out in California, and that's why, like I said, I spend real little time in California, but I've met so many people at my office, from people that transplanted from California to here, and the first thing I do is tease them and say, "Why would you leave California to come to Philadelphia?" Especially when they come in the wintertime. And it's like, are you crazy? And it's there's a couple of people have reacted by a normal way, which is, "Look, man, I'm married. I was drugged here. I had no choice. My wife forced me to come." I said, "Well, definitely. I think you'll like it after a while." And a lot of people come back to me like a year later, 2 years later, they'll stop in and they'll say, "You're right," because I tell people, there's something for everybody in our town. And, it's great to see your girlfriend's from your hometown.
No, she's actually from Minnesota. She's actually from the Midwest.
Oh, nice. All right. Did you meet her at Iowa State?
You would think so. No, we actually met in Arizona on a vacation.
That's funny.
No, yeah, super funny. But like you had just said, like Iowa really, come from Southern California to Iowa weather is, two very, very extremes. And so, from there to Philadelphia was a much easier transition.
Yeah, as they say, it's you got better by going further east when it comes to the weather. That's for sure. Yep. Iowa State is out in the boondocks, right?
Yes, sir. It is.
Yeah. Jeez. Well, look, man, it's been great interviewing. I'm very looking forward so much to seeing your mom's show, but also see you next year for Temple.
Yes.
Oh man. Thank you.
So looking forward to it, Re-al. Thank you very much. And we'll do a follow-up interview maybe after next season, so we can get to see, and hopefully we can get to see some live games. Right? Well, yeah, maybe we can do them in person next year, like Steven
Yeah.
said.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, let's make
Get
it
to one of your
happen.
games, maybe afterwards.
Let's make it happen. Yes, sir.
Can't wait. Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll keep in touch, man. Thank
Yes,
you very
sir.
much.
Thank
Okay,
you,
thank
buddy.
you guys.
Great interview, man. Thank you very much. Tell your
Bye-bye.
mom what we said.
I will. Okay.
Thank you. Oh, Steve, you got to watch.